Every country in the world has leadership that has said that they would value obtaining the security of a nuclear weapons-free world. It's quite extraordinary. In India, India has taken the position that they want a universal non-discriminatory treaty, universally eliminating nuclear weapons, very much the way biological and chemical weapons have been treated. They say we will not join the third most important legal instrument of the 20th century, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The first, I would say, first instrument is the United Nations Charter, which provides a framework for the nations of the world and the peoples of the world to obtain cooperative security. It's an opportunity that hasn't been fully seized, but the framework is there. The second most important document is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which says that every human being has intrinsic dignity and value and worth. And this is an extraordinary statement. The value of the human being before that was only asserted within the provincialism of each religious tradition. But here we have a universal recognition, and I think our global culture has recognized the value of these two frameworks. The third, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, has every single country in the world in it except Israel, Pakistan, and India. And North Korea was in it, but they pulled out. So we're not talking about a very complex or insurmountable problem. There's only 9 countries with nuclear weapons. And I'm going to go back to India because they're a country out of a treaty which contains within it a legal commitment to obtain nuclear disarmament. Remember, what's at stake here for the countries that are in the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty is whether they're going to honor their legal commitment, whether their word means anything. Pacta sunt servanda, whether promises are going to be kept. There's a lot at stake here, not just nuclear weapons, but the very, very art of diplomacy and international law, whether we're going to pursue the raw law of power or the stabilizing power of law. But let me come back to India, because India is a good example. They're outside of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and yet they're calling for a universal treaty. Why? Well, they have an existential threat with Pakistan, and they can't solve it bilaterally. They can't solve it bilaterally with Pakistan because they got the weapon because of China. China got the weapon because of Russia, and Russia got the weapon because of the United States. So the only way that India can solve its regional problem is a global ban. So even 1/6 of the world's population outside of the treaty that compels the elimination of nuclear weapons, a legally recognized duty by every state in that treaty, wants to have the elimination of nuclear weapons. And Israel's position on this subject is they will join a Middle East nuclear weapons-free zone after they have security assurances from their neighbors, which they have to obtain. So what's before us is a surmountable, clearly obtainable goal, especially since over 95% of the weapons are in the hands of just 2 countries. So what is the basis? What is the argument? What is the real value that the weapons pose that makes them so valuable that we would put so much at risk and so much money that we wouldn't change? Well, the Pope has put at issue, Pope Francis, now representing one of the largest religious organizations in the world, has said that the moral foundation, which the Catholic Church had qualifiedly legitimized in deterrence, is no longer there. He argues in a recent very important document called Nuclear Disarmament, Time for Abolition, that was released at the Vienna Conference on Humanitarian Consequences. He argues that because deterrence rests on the preparedness, intent, and willingness to annihilate civilization, because the intent is part of it, it's therefore immoral. And if the justification for possession is deterrence, then possession is also immoral. So the Catholic Church's position now is that both the use and the possession of nuclear weapons is immoral. The Dalai Lama, who is a moral voice of tremendous weight on the planet, has strongly said that every summit of the Nobel Peace Laureates in the last 10 years, the heads of state of the United States from the time of Ronald Reagan have said this is a goal. So the goal is clear. The roadmap to obtaining that goal was even laid out in 2000 at the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, a series of incremental steps that even the United States and the other nuclear weapon states in the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty say, this is the roadmap we want to take to get to nuclear disarmament. Lowering the operational status, making cuts irreversible, strengthening verification, and a legal restraint on testing nuclear weapons, stopping the production of nuclear weapons-capable fissile material and gaining greater control. There have been a series of nuclear security summits in which the steps to gaining control of nuclear materials is recognized. We've gone from you know, what was it, 60,000 nuclear weapons, some say 80,000, but we're now down to 16,000. At least 80% have been eliminated. The trajectory's in the right direction. So I think the logic for having them it no longer exists. The morality of them has been assailed. The National World Council of Churches has condemned them, and we could just go on. Even the World Evangelicals, the World Evangelical Alliance, has come out on a moral basis for abolition. That's another 650 million Christians are in that. So the moral foundation has now been taken away, and the security basis, I think, is the need for them is completely overridden by the much more real security challenges we face with economy, stable financial markets, ecology, and a whole slew of other issues.